Joining us now here on In the Circle, D1 Softball, powered by 643. She is, of course, the all-time leader in strikeouts and wins in Division I college softball. Of course, was the National Player of the Year in 2007, four-time All-American, three-time SEC Pitcher of the Year, two-time Olympian, and, of course, will be on the call this weekend on SEC Network when Arkansas host Missouri. I speak of the great Monica Abbott joining us back here on In the Circle D1 for the third straight year. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's always like fun to be on the pod and just talk about our sport, talk about the things that are happening. You know me. We know the pod. We love softball here and we love talking about it.
Well, I remember we had you on a couple years ago, right before your first broadcast nationally you ever done. Here you are now in your third season calling games for ESPN. How do you feel you're different from as a broadcaster today than you were, say, a couple years ago? What have you learned through those three seasons now?
Yeah, I think I've definitely just improved as a broadcaster and getting my point across, understanding the flow of the things behind the scenes, right? You have to get your point across in a very short amount of time. So I think I've improved on that a lot. And also at some points, like having the freedom and the confidence to be a little bit more opinionated on the ebbs and flows of the game that go on.
What is the biggest thing? What's your favorite part now of broadcasting now that you've done it for three seasons?
I really enjoy like trying, like telling the story. I think that's like my favorite part. And like each series, each game is different for every team, but like what is the underlying story of these athletes or of their season at this stage? And I really enjoy kind of diving into that and what this win could mean or could not mean for the whole outcome of their season. And then just like the trends, like I love seeing the different trends of teams on how certain teams are really good at doing this, and this is why it makes them successful, and other teams are good at doing something else, and that's what makes them successful.
You've got a very important game here with Missouri and Arkansas. Let's talk a little bit about Missouri. You've seen Missouri a few times. They are fighting for eligibility. They're at
Yes.
500 as we record this. They have to finish 500 or above to be eligible for the NCAA tournament. If you look at the resume, I think they would be in if they could pull that off. But they have a tough stretch starting with Arkansas this weekend. What's been your thoughts on Larissa Anderson's Missouri Tigers?
Yeah, the Missouri Tigers, the thing that hurts them the most right now is they had a horrible February, like an absolutely horrible February. And then they turned it around, and especially Sierra Harrison in the month of March, her ERA dropped almost 2+ points. But the real question is can they stay even or better to make postseason and be 500? I think they're contenders. I think they're competitive. They've won a game in almost every single SEC series. They're not even in last place in the SEC. Like they're in 10th, I think, as of last week. I didn't check this morning, but they just don't have the record because of February. So they're chasing, but they've improved, right? So their entire body of work is good. But the question is can they try to steal a game from Arkansas or can they steal a game from Tennessee? Of course, you always go into games wanting to win the series or sweep the series, but they have to look at it realistically, and it comes down to how they're going to strategically play those next two series.
You mentioned Sierra Harrison, another kid. Obviously, the guy's the two-way freshman, Abby Carr, who I know Coach Anderson was excited about. She's been used as a reliever, can start, has hit. Obviously, what's been your impression on her?
Yeah, so Abby Carr, right-handed pitcher, she has a dirty, dirty changeup, and when she locates it well at the knees, it's unhittable. It's unhittable. She throws a curveball, rise ball, our other two main pitches, mid 60s. She's an athlete that I would really want to see continue to develop, especially on her fast pitches, just continuing to improve her spin rate and her movement profile because the changeup is so deadly. But sometimes when you use it that much, the best hitters in the SEC lineup, your top four hitters, are going to probably try to sit on it. So you have to strategically call when to use it, when not to use it. And that did hurt her in game one last weekend uh, in Missouri versus South Carolina when Jamie McKay hit a 2-run home run in the sixth, I think it was the sixth inning.
It was, and she's young, but she's growing as a freshman, and they're going to face
Yeah.
a very explosive Arkansas offense at Bogle. Have you been to Bogle before?
No.
Okay, so this will
No,
be your
I
first
have
time. I
not
didn't
been.
think so.
Well,
Wow.
I was gonna say I haven't been to Arkansas since I played there in college, and
Wow.
I'm pretty sure they've gotten a new stadium since they've been
Bogle.
so
It's
long.
very
But
nice.
it
Okay.
looks great on TV, and they always seem to have like a huge crowd. I
Yes.
love the berm and the outfield fill up, so I'm excited for them to be calling a home series there.
What are you looking forward to seeing about Arkansas in person? Obviously, they got Robin Herron and Peyton Burnham leading
Yeah.
the pitching staff. Of course, the offense we've talked about. What stands out to you about them?
I mean, for me, it's the lefty, right? Like, there's nothing more exciting than that. And Robin Herron and Peyton Burnham, both of those just phenomenal pitchers in their careers so far. And I'm just excited to see them live. And, I've watched them on film and I've watched their games, but just there's a different aspect when you see them live and in person. So I'm really looking forward to that as a pitcher.
It's kind of known like as a hitter's park at Bogle. You'll find that out in person, perhaps. I'm curious, as a pitcher, is that something that crosses your mind as far as, hey, I'm playing at a park that the ball flies, or maybe it's not, or is that something you just don't even, you block all that out?
No, not at all. We don't think about those things. I mean, come on. No one could hit. No one could. You have to have the mindset and the naivety to be like, hey, no one can hit me. If I throw my best pitch on my location with my movement, then I'm going to get them, right? Like you have to have that mindset as a pitcher. The moment you start to doubt or start to think like, hey, I'm in a hitter's park. Hey, like that umpire's not calling this pitch or this hitter's sitting on that. The moment you start to think about those things, you almost think them into happening, right? You think them into fruition. So it's really important that you are always thinking like, hey, like my pitch will beat you any day. And that's the mindset your true aces have to have.
Did you ever have a softball stadium that you just loved pitching in? Like felt
You know,
comfortable, etc.?
I always pitched really good at LSU.
Okay, that makes sense.
LSU. I mean, Oklahoma City, of course. I
Sure.
should have said that first. Oklahoma City, of course, hands down. Where else did I pitch really well? I don't know. Everywhere.
Tennessee, you pitched everywhere well. No, you pitched everywhere. So that's why I was curious if you had any preferential favorites. Tennessee obviously is a favorite because you played your
Yeah.
career there. But
Yeah.
but certainly from a whole career, I've just always been fascinated about that. If you just was there certain ones where you just felt really like, oh, I'm really excited to be here.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was always like stadiums I pitched a little bit better in. I always did pretty good in Georgia. LSU, I did pretty well. Florida, I always had a good series. Oklahoma City, I always pitched well. I'm just even with Stanford used to have an older state, before they opened their new one. Their old
Sure,
one I pitched really well at Stanford. There's just like different kind of nuances in each
sure.
stadium. But you always go back to the Hoosiers line. It's always 43 feet, right?
Very good line. I love that line. What's been your thoughts on the game today? There's so much offense now. There's been runs are up, walks are up. You obviously have made some comments on social media about it. I mean, I don't want you to kind of rehash that, but just as you follow the game, as you're calling games, what are you noticing that's different now than it was, say, maybe 5, 10 years ago?
Well, the first thing that I think that is going a lot on social media is the strike zone, right? Like it's undeniable by the facts and by the scoring and the games with these pitchers. So the first thing is the strike zone being needs to be better, needs to be more accountable, whatever you want to talk about. But I think the biggest thing, if you break down the strike zone even more, to me, is that there aren't enough strike three looking. Okay. And when it's full count or there's three balls, no matter what pitch is going, a hitter will drop the bat. And I call it, they try to pimp the walk. Okay. They try to start to take off down first base. Now, this is strategy. This is a strategy offensively, and it's a good one because it's working. But when the ball is right there, the umpire has to have the guts to call strike three, even though they're halfway down first base line. And that is not what we're seeing. We're rarely seeing it. That strike three looking. And the reason that is so important for a hitter, like no matter what the zone looks like, the reason that's so important for hitting, for the game, for pitching, is because if a hitter knows they will be struck out, they will be called for strike three, they're going to start swinging more, right? So they're not going to take the close pitches that are on the plate or on the corner. They're going to swing the bat more, okay? And the lineups will be held, the hitters are held more accountable, right? Through that. And that just needs to happen, in my opinion, just because there's so little of that happening. If a pitcher's throwing a great pitch and you can't ring her up, like what does that do to our game? It's the same thing as a home run for a hitter. A home run has to be a perfect pitch, a perfect swing, right? Well, 3-2 or 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, whatever the count is, and a pitcher throws a perfect pitch and the hitter swings at it, that's like a home run for a pitcher. That's a big moment that should be celebrated and needs to be called.
I agree. I feel like, because all the offensive hitting coaches, the approaches, let's erode the pitchers, take a lot of pitches, and it feels like they kind of can tell early on how the strike zone's going, that, hey, we can be comfortable here because we're going to get the call on a 3-2 pitch more times than not, maybe say 5-10 years ago. I've heard that theory to factor, whereas if you're calling more strikes, now you're going to get more swings because you have to be protective of the zone if you're a hitter. So I agree with that. I've also heard.
Well, it's a red mark, right, Eric?
Sure.
Like that's what you have to think about it. You have to think about it in like if you take it two more layers deep. If I'm a hitter in the lineup, no matter what hitter I am, the biggest red mark or flag on a hitter is striking out looking from a coach. They do not want their hitters striking out looking, but hitters are not held accountable right now, so they can just take and they know they're going to walk. The chances of them getting that strike three called looking, I have no idea what the percentage is, but I'm just going to guess it's got to be less than 20% right now.
What so about right? 20% is pretty low. I mean, you're right.
I'm throwing a number out there that is not scientific. The other people in the stats era, I'm sure they could find.
It does feel that way, though. It does feel that way. And, free passes have contributed to runs scored. I broadcast with Alex Powers. It feels, and she keeps track of free passes. A majority of them are scoring runs this year, not, across the country. So that's a big factor in the game.
Yes. And it's a huge factor because they're not only just scoring from free passes, but when those runners advance to scoring position, right, second base or advance, the pitchers' ERAs across the board right now are jumping to 5 and above. And that's just across the board on stats. So where is the hold, right? Like where is the runners left on base situation for pitchers? Walks are a part of the game, and it's always been an issue for collegiate pitchers. But there's a difference between, someone that just gets straight up walked, right? And someone that didn't earn a walk. And that's a huge difference from one of those unseen stats, but everyone that watches the game knows what I mean.
I would agree. Let me ask you about this, because I've had some people tell me this, that the young pitchers today coming into college come in thinking I need 4 or 5 different pitches and not master 1 or 2 pitches like let's say you did. Like when you came out, you had signature pitches and it didn't matter if people knew it was coming because they couldn't hit it. Whereas now young pitchers have 3 or 4 pitches, but none of them have not mastered that 1 or 2 pitches that gets those outs. Have you noticed that from young pitchers?
Yes, that's absolutely an issue. And I think it's more like they have a lot of good pitches, but they don't have the one great pitch. And I think that's what they need to kind of figure out on the youth level and develop. And there's a lot of issues in youth softball, like around the high school and club level and all of that. That is affecting the pitcher's development at the collegiate level. And I think we see that. I think it's not talked about enough, but there's a lot of rules in club softball that are affecting pitchers' development.
Right. Like I think back when Kat Osterman, for example, you knew the drop ball was coming. She mastered it. Like that was vintage, right? Like all your pitches that you threw, people knew it was coming, but they couldn't hit it. I feel like
Right,
it's
right.
less of that. And then people, obviously there's more video and I get all the technology, but I still maintain if a pitcher's best pitch, if they execute it, doesn't matter if the hitter knows it's coming, it's going to be hard to hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you look at the Monica Abbott's and the Cat Ostermans or the Lisa Fernandez of the world, you can stick out a pitch from them. Monica Abbott rise ball, Cat Osterman drop ball, Lisa Fernandez changeup. Like they all had something really great that defined them as a pitcher, and then they had supporting pitches. And the problem is right now is like at those great pitchers, they took their rise ball and they put it on, they consistently threw it on the locations, right? And they consistently threw it at different heights or the drop on different locations and different levels. But right now, we're just okay with a good rise ball. We're just okay with a good drop ball. Let's make sure we have a good changeup and a curve ball. And those are good too, but how do you take your pitches to the next level? And it's that locating, right? It's the locating and it's the movement profile with locating. And then it's understanding movement profile, location, and timing of when to use it.
I love the term you just used, the supporting pitches to support your main pitch. I think that's a great description, and I think that would be, hopefully a lot of young people, players or pitchers are listening to this. That's a great advice there. Instead of like, oh, I gotta throw all these different pitches, just identify your main weapon pitch and then what supports it. I think that's a great description you just described there.
Thank you. Comes from
Uh,
coming from a pitcher.
well, I'll tell you a couple. I want to talk about a couple teams that have done a great job developing pitchers, and let me start with your alma mater, Tennessee, and your former teammate Megan Rhodes Smith, and your coach, obviously Karen Weekly, arguably the best, deepest pitching staff in the country. Certainly, everybody knows Carlin Pickens. You know Carlin, but we've seen this year, when she missed some time with the injury, Aaron Newer, for example, has stepped up. Majeko has stepped up. What's your thoughts on the Vols pitching staff and their development there? Because they've got three of the best arms there. When you talk about 1, 2, 3, they seem to be deeper this year than ever before.
Yeah, I think it's really an advantage to have the three true aces. I mean, Erin Newer has just been absolutely so impressive with her ERA, and they have some good combination and different looks that they can do with starters and closers, and if they choose to do that as a coaching staff. But I think that they've just been absolutely phenomenal. Their mental game for the most part looks really strong, so you don't see them like kind of spiraling out or anything like that, which is really good. I would love to see them just a little bit better in the early innings of the game. In my opinion, like they still give up the one. I want to see more. I want to see the Tennessee pitching staff, and I'm saying this because I went to Tennessee. I want to see them put up more zeros, like for the entirety of the game. And I understand that is not common in this day and age, right? Like we rarely see, a 3-0 or 2-0 or 1-0 game anymore. But I do think that they can be a little bit better earlier in the game. And I would love to see, just for my own little pitching heart that loves pitching so much, just a couple more shutouts out of that staff.
Very
Which
good.
we already have some, so
They do. They're among the nation's tops already there. Yeah. Carlin Pickens, as she's finishing up
yeah.
her career, she's going to play pro, if she play
Yeah.
international. What advice would you give her as her next stages in softball career is coming?
Honestly, I would say, Carlin, like you are an incredible talent. Just absolutely incredible. You've been blessed with such an amazing skill, but you have an incredible heart for the game and for your teammates. Enjoy each moment, leave it all on the field, play with zero regrets, and let your college career play out with that in mind. And then as you move on into your professional career, you're going to love every moment. Be a sponge, soak it up, learn, and just go out there and constantly redevelop yourself and be that shining light that you really are. She's given us so much joy as a softball community, and I know she's going to continue to do that as a professional.
What have you seen from her this year? She had the scare with the injury against Belmont, ended up missing about a week. I'll never forget, came back against Mississippi State, was as good as ever. Scary injury there.
Yeah, she had a little bit of an injury and it was super scary. it just hurts my heart to see something like that for such an icon, a future legend in our sport. But I know that she's going to really want to like amp up and do better as she continues on. So for her, I think I just want to see her finish with no regrets and play with passion. Like there's nothing more exciting for a softball fan when she plays with that childlike joy and excitement. Like it's contagious. I think it's contagious for her teammates, and it's really super fun for the fans and for everyone watching to see her light up and get excited about her big pitches and for her team. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that joy in her heart play out on the softball field at towards the next couple months that we play.
I know you've mentioned on the air in the past the team you like watching and their pitching staff this year is Mississippi State. You're going to see them again here real soon at the end of the regular season. Talk about the job Taryn Moat McKinney's done there. You know her very well. This year with Peja Gould coming over from Chattanooga, Faircloth, they're once again one of the top pitching staffs in the SEC.
Yeah, well, Peja Gould has just done a phenomenal job moving into the SEC, just with her movement profile. And Alyssa Faircloth, I mean, not to be outdone by Peja, like super competitive and like has been very outstanding herself. I think the biggest thing for them is I think they do struggle a little bit sometimes with the confidence level, especially as the game goes on, and overthinking their pitches. Thinking, hey, my pitch isn't moving how it should be, and almost thinking themselves into a situation rather than it actually happening. Like, no, it did move. She just swung and missed at it. She, hit a weak ground ball to second base. Like that's success. So their pitching staff is very deep and very good. It's been long needed for Mississippi State. So it'll be really interesting to see how postseason plays out for them and the rest of SEC play if they're able to make a big push here as we come into May.
Another pitcher I want to mention in the state of Tennessee, Maya Johnson, who just got her AUSL ticket from Belmont, who has kind of put Belmont softball on the map. Kind of reminds me a lot when you came to Tennessee and put Tennessee softball on the map, getting them to Oklahoma City and things like that. And look what she's been doing with Belmont. I don't know how much you've been able to see of her, but it's got to be exciting to see another player in the state of Tennessee leading a program like Belmont to the stage where they're at, where they made the NCAAs last year, winning the conference title, and they're poised to try to do that again this year. She beat Mississippi State and Georgia this year, early in the year.
Yeah, what a talent. What a generational talent Maya Johnson is. Like, I feel sorry for whoever is going to have them in their regional because she is literally a generational talent. She is so good. So good, so competitive. I almost feel like she plays with like a little bit of fire and that little bit of a chip on her shoulder. And at times she reminds me of a little bit of the chip I had on my shoulder at times during my professional career when I wasn't playing for the USSSA Pride and I got traded and all. Like there was just some like weird things that kind of like made me ask, why did this happen to me sort of situation. And it was nothing that I did, but it caused a little bit of a chip on my shoulder and made me like work even harder. And I see that in Maya Johnson, like especially when she goes out there and she just, man, she spins it, she throws it so well. And you know what? She's really good at her location. That outside backdoor curve, like just absolutely phenomenal.
It really is. I always feel like pitchers are better when they have a chip on their shoulder, don't you? I mean, I kind of miss that. Like I feel like that intimidation, that chip on the shoulder. If I was a hitter, I'd be pretty petrified if I was like, oh man, she doesn't look like she's in a good mood today. It's going to be a long day.
Well, I think you know what it does? It makes you more determined. And that determination, it really brings out the determination. And if you're a pitcher, you know like how hard it is to throw a good pitch and how long it took you to be able to be consistent at throwing that backdoor curve, right? So like you don't want to just like let it go and like not be focused. So it just raises that focus level on each individual pitch, which makes it a little bit harder on hitters. And I definitely think Maya Johnson has that and plays that way.
Who else has stood out to you either as a player, maybe a team you've watched this year, maybe either call their game or just kind of roaming around watching games? Who has stood out to you here that jumps out at you like, oh, they're interesting to me, or that player's interesting to me?
Well, it would be hard not to say, just because I've done quite a few of South Carolina's games, it would be really hard not to say Jory Hurd as a pitcher. And when you look at her, you look her overall, and this is as of last week, her overall ERA was something like 2.81, but then you break it down and you look at her ERA at away games, and it's sub one. So she's throwing like, I think going into last weekend, she did give up a couple of runs that raised her ERA, and I have not like seen the updated ERA, but her away ERA going into last SEC series was 0.81 at away games. I mean, that is just incredibly impressive. Also knowing that South Carolina has played a lot of series on the road. They've had an up and down SEC season. They did really well in preseason. They're another team that's kind of on the verge of 500 if they're not careful, but they should be fine because they won the series versus Mizzou. So, but they have done absolutely great with Jory Hurd on the mound. So it's going to be really, for them, it'll be riding her arm and how far can she take them. And it bodes well for South Carolina, if you think about it, for them to not host because of Jory's ERA on the road is really, really impressive.
Yeah, she's taken another level because I remember talking to her last year. She was young, but it was kind of a by committee approach there with the staff there. That wasn't necessarily it, but this year she's clearly the one they lean on the most.
Yeah, she's taken on that ace role for South Carolina. Now she has some good support with Emma Friedel and
Lamb and you
Neely
know,
Lamb,
yeah,
Neely Lamb.
yeah.
But Jory's definitely the ace. So let's see. I'm trying to think of like some other people that I've seen really well. I think Georgia offensively, like they have a decent pitching staff, but their offense, whew, those dogs can hit.
They always have, haven't they?
Yeah,
Like they always,
they've always been a good hitting school for sure. But
yeah.
this year, like they're really doing very well offensively.
Yeah, Tony Baldwin does a nice job developing their hitters over there at Georgia there. Couple things before I let you go, because I know you got a lot going on. I want to ask you about the AUSL pro
Okay.
season, second season. What's been your thoughts having seen athletes eliminated there from afar there? A lot of people are hopeful that this could be the answer from a pro league standpoint moving down the road here.
Yeah, any opportunity for professional softball, the better, especially here in the United States. It's a missing piece, right? The competition, the next step is like extending the season at some point, and it has to be more than the summer, like bottom line. I think AUSL will probably eventually get to that phase, but they got to do it in steps, right, to be successful. So they made a nice, good step here, getting home stadiums and adding two teams. So I'm excited for the fate of professional softball. I hope it continues to grow and develop. It definitely has the opportunity to do so. Yeah, we need it. We
It,
need it in the States. We
we need in
need
the
it.
well, and that's the point you made. It's in the state because you know very well. Obviously, having played in Japan, Japan has obviously been the premier league across the world professionally, and that's not an accident that Japan is so strong overall in the world in
Yes,
softball. So
and there's some other pretty good leagues out there too. Japan is obviously, I would say Japan, and no, I don't think anyone will disagree with me, is the number one professional league in the world. And then obviously the US has their league situation, which we know, and then Mexico has a decent little league. Taiwan has a decent little league. Australia has a decent small league, and then there's like a European league situation too. But I think the the Olympics, the state of professional softball, 21 and 22 when you finish college, like you are nowhere near your pro where you are nowhere near your top and you are nowhere near to the best of your athletic ability, athletic knowing and understanding the game, reading the game, reading the athletes, the hitters, the defense, all of those situations. And the way the game just gets better. It just gets better as you get older. So we just have to create that opportunity to make us more competitive at the Olympic stage. Because otherwise you have I'll just call the college semi-pros competing against professionals that have been doing it 8 months out of the year, 6 to 8 months out of the year since they were 20.
It's
And
tough. Yeah.
that's tough, right? And doing it full time. Whereas like even here, your professionals, like let's say like an Amanda Lorenz, who she plays AUSL, she plays for Team USA, hoping to be an LA 28 Olympian. She's playing 3 months, right? Like that's an incredible difference in game ability and game sense and development. So there's a big difference in the amount of games played and how that affects your development as an athlete. Now, um,
But
it
well,
works. Americans make it work. We make it work. We will do whatever we need to do to be successful. But I think there is a path there professionally in the United States to make it a little bit easier and better for our softball athletes.
I agree, and seems like it's taking the proper steps. Might take some time, but at least things are being done, and to make it better. And I think that's a positive. I'll let you go. We're 2 years away from the Summer Olympic with softball in the States, going to be played in Oklahoma City. What goes through your mind when I say that?
I can't wait. I'm so excited. I like, oh gosh. I want to be there. I want to be, anyone need me to broadcast for softball? I'm here. I'm available. Honestly, I just can't wait. I'm super excited for it. I love that it's in Oklahoma City. It's the mecca of softball. The other thing too is it's a true softball stadium. Like in Tokyo, we played on a baseball stadium. Like it's true softball stadium, the heart of USA softball. I love that it's there. I'm so excited. I am so excited.
Want to come out of retirement? You can guarantee your spot there? No, in the stadium, perhaps? No, you're good. You're good. You got family there.
If they need a BP pitcher, call me. You got my number. I will train just to throw you BP. And
listen, if Patty Gasso's listening to this, she might take you up on that there.
Yeah.
What advice would you give players? Because obviously, with the next couple of years, players are going to be trying to seek out to make that Olympic team. You've seen it from both sides, as a youngster coming out of college and also as a veteran. What advice would you give them?
I would say go make a statement. I'll never forget this quote Stacey Newman told me about the Olympics. She said, some athletes try to make a team to go to the Olympics. Some athletes make a team to win the Olympics. So what athlete are you going to be? Do you just want to be there or do you want to win? And I think that's a completely different mindset. So if you have that mindset from the start, go make a statement that you cannot be denied to be on that team and you will not be denied to win a medal.
That is Monica Abbott, two-time Olympian, the strikeout queen in college softball, National Player of the Year. Got to be calling Arkansas, Missouri this Saturday with Nate Gatter on SEC Network. Where they can find you on social media and keep up with you.
Yeah, all the usual Monica Abbott. Just type it in.
Type it in
and I'll come up.
Keep it simple. Hey, Monica, always a pleasure to catch up with you. I know you're busy, got family, your mom. Congrats on that. Everything's going well, I hear, as we talk. Have a great broadcast. You have a great year and enjoy it. And thanks for always taking the time to talk to us here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.